Hello and welcome to another podcast with Supplierity News. Today I have with me, obviously my podcast partner, Ray Hayes. Ray, welcome as always.
What's going on, Jaymie?
Yep. So, first, happy Memorial Day weekend to everybody. And
Yep.
as always, definitely want to make sure we started off this time. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the video. So we finally got that in this time. Because we always have
Good job.
we always
Touche,
have a
my brother.
problem like forgetting to do that. But this time, no, we got it in. Like, so stop what you're doing, stop the video, like, even though you haven't heard it,
Definitely.
like, subscribe, and comment because we're gonna come to you today with a lot of interesting content, especially if you're in the Midwest. So,
And we're not talking about comic books today.
we may, the following week. Who knows? No,
No.
but nah. Let's go ahead and let's get into it. So today we want to talk about 2 points, right? The first point is what's attributing the population decrease in the Midwest outside of the weather, right? Because I think the weather is kind of like a go-to
Just
reason.
giving, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But outside of the weather, what's attributing to the population decrease, or maybe even increase, or no, population decrease, and what can change it so that it can become, or it can increase over the next couple of years. And we also want to talk about the new news as in particular when it comes to Ben Carson's comment on poverty. So
Right.
let's go ahead and let's start off with the Ben Carson comment. So Ray, I know you were asking a question about that. What were you saying again? Right before we got
well, no, I was just asking the question as far as what did you think of the comment? And if people haven't heard, he basically said poverty is a state of mind, so to say. You can overcome poverty if you basically had a different mindset, so to say. But Jaymie, did you agree with that, or I mean, did you understand what he was saying?
Yeah.
Like, what were your thoughts about it?
Yeah. So I can't believe I'm about to say this, but it's kind of true, right? So
I agree.
2 points. Yeah, that part. So what he said was true, but I was actually going to make two points before I got into it. So the first point is Ben Carson has a habit of trying to give these immaculate, like empowering speeches and then completely failing. For example, his immigration speech when it comes to slavery. He just has a habit of just putting his foot in his mouth.
But this is the thing. If this were anybody else,
it'd be just as bad.
It would be. I don't know. I think if it was a liberal or maybe even a Democrat or somebody who had more influence in the community more than Ben Carson, it may have came off a little different. I think the fact of it is it was the right message, but the wrong messenger.
That might be true. That can happen.
Yeah.
That can happen. You might be right about that. Because
I mean,
well, yeah. Well, let me just.
The fact of it is, I mean, it's not saying okay. There are circumstances where, I mean, you may become not poor, but you may not have the money to buy certain things, or you may find yourself homeless, and that's based off sometimes a decision you made in life. But it can be based off a house burning down and you not having insurance. But it's circumstances outside of your doing that can cause you to become homeless or become low income and low income in community, or you being a low income parent, or so to say.
Yeah,
but the fact of it is, you can you affect those situations wholeheartedly. So yes, it is a state of mind because you can get yourself out of poverty if you attempt to. As far as going out hustling and getting a job, not hustling as far as selling drugs, but hustling. You have a job where you're working at a Walmart, when on the side you're driving Uber, or you learn a new trade where you're riding people's houses out. So you're getting extra money from that, plus you're working at Walmart full time. So you're taking that advantage to get out of poverty, trying to better yourself. So I understand what he's saying, but like you said, Jaymie, it's kind of like when you look at Ben Carson, you're like, okay,
Yeah, he keeps shooting himself
it's
in the
just like
foot.
you like you said, he's definitely shooting. You shoot yourself in the foot, but I understand what he was saying. I definitely understand what he was saying.
I understand what he was trying to say, which goes into my second point. So the first point is he keeps putting his foot in his mouth, trying to give these speeches that aren't as inspiring as he'd hope. And then the second piece is mindset is a part of poverty, but it's not. In my opinion, poverty is not a mindset. I mean, if you want to get theoretical, which he shouldn't be doing, given his
No,
position.
he shouldn't.
Because I don't want somebody in the government to be theoretical, because that's how we get into these different laws that don't work for everybody. But
Correct.
but I don't know. My point being, in terms of, it's not just poverty isn't just a mindset. Mindset can make things better or worse. Like if you have a negative mindset and you're poor, that can make you think maybe I need to sell drugs or something. Get a quick solution
$3.
for this. Yeah, a quick solution for this. Or if you have a positive mindset and you're poor, it might be like you said. Maybe I need to learn a new skill. Maybe I need to do something extra to get myself out of poverty. Now that doesn't guarantee that you'll get yourself out of poverty, but you have a better chance. I think
That's what I think he should have cleared that up a little bit better and made that statement. Yes, this is not going to get you out of poverty, so to say.
I don't think he believes that. I think he honestly believes that.
Oh wow.
See, because remember, okay, so let's remember Ben Carson grew up poor, right? Let's remember
Correct.
that. So for him, he had that. I'm assuming he had a positive mindset, which led him to becoming a neurosurgeon, right?
Correct.
Yeah, yep. And then ultimately becoming part of the government, as the leader of HUD. So for him, what people have to understand is that when you're in those poor situations,
Mm-hmm.
there are always going to be people who succeed, but not everybody's going to succeed with that mindset. I mean, it's really hard to go from 0 to 100. It's really hard to go from nothing to something, man. And it takes more than just a mindset. Honestly, it's a lot of luck, because not
Luck,
everybody,
yeah.
not everybody has a negative mindset that's poor. Everybody wants to get out of being poor. Like nobody's sitting there like I love being poor. It's the greatest thing in the world. Like no, people have a positive. Not everybody has a positive mindset. Some people have negative, but there are people who really try to get out of that situation and don't make it. And the reason being is
Right.
because there are certain situations, or maybe even policies that are in place that are
Oh,
restricting
holding them
them.
back.
Yeah, that are restricting them from succeeding. Now, this isn't. I'm not making any excuse for why people stay poor or anything. But like you said, I do think that there's a lot of There's a lot left unsaid in that comment that he should have cleared up, because it did come across as insensitive.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, you can understand why people were mad. But like I said, it was right. I
I think they
mean,
overreacted.
he had
I
us
think
with
they
the right message
overreacted.
with the wrong message.
Yeah, I think they
Definitely
overreacted. I
overreacted.
think you're right about that. I think when it comes to the Trump administration, people like to nitpick, and if you don't say something completely 100% right, they're gonna be all over you and be like, "Oh,
Even if you do say something 100% right, they still may come in and attack you.
do you have an example of that?"
No.
I mean, they're not
But
they're not
the
very
reason I'm
eloquent
saying this,
when it comes to.
the reason I said that is because of the fact that they're the number one. Everybody, as far as CNN and MSNBC, everybody's reporting on Trump. Nothing good. Nothing good at all. Only thing I heard good was his first State of the Union speech, and they say he sounded presidential. Other than that, it's all the negatives. So I feel as though the fact that he may be doing some good when it comes to small businesses. He may be doing some good with that, as far as Linda McMahon doing some good with the SBA. But you won't really hear about those things. And if you do, they won't talk about the positive. They'll probably point out the negatives about the situation, due to the fact that he's considered enemy number one right now.
Yeah, he is considered.
Everybody wants to get him kicked out of office.
Yeah, I mean that's clear. I mean, how do I say this? So there are some positives to his presidency. Like, for example, he just gave a speech about NATO, which I loved, honestly. And he basically talked about, he brought up the point that 23 out of the 29 members of NATO don't pay to be in NATO.
But do you think that was the right time to give that speech?
Heck yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody needs to give that speech in public. Because he broke it down. He was like, hey, if everybody paid, America would have to pay less, which means that we'd have an extra $100 billion to do with other stuff. NATO is costing America $119 billion, I think he said. Yeah, he should have gave that speech then. That's a problem. Like, okay. Yeah, like that is a serious
his first
problem.
Meeting with NATO. You think that was the right time to get that?
Yeah, that one. I mean, look, you can criticize Trump on a lot of crap, right? Right. Let's be honest. But when it comes to being America first, if your agenda is America first, that is the first thing you tell these guys. Hey, look. Because that's unfair. All right, like.
What about the comments about Germany?
Okay,
the German cars.
Yeah, he went a little bit too far. Yeah, that was. See, that's what Trump does, right? He'll do something that's a little good, and then he'll just completely mess it up by either pushing somebody out of the way or talking about Germany can't sell, which is stupid. Because then what happens if they say, okay, America can't sell cars? They're the head of the EU. You don't think they're just going to get people to like off the entire EU to block that off? Like, come on, guy. Not only that, Chrysler's owned by a European company. Like, what is he doing? That just was not. That was not. That again. That's his inexperience, and that just shows he just doesn't understand. Politics on the global scale, because there's just too many ways Europe can hurt us. With their positioning, but the speech that he gave to NATO, I do believe, was exactly the message that he should have given first time at bat. Hey, this is my stance. Okay. Yeah. But the other crap, the other stuff was just irresponsible, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, but
well, I mean, I understand that, but let's before we get too far into it, let's move on to our next topic, though.
Yep. Yeah. So our next topic is population decrease, and what can help with an increase in Midwestern cities, particularly in our home cities. So Detroit and Chicago. Yep.
Right.
So we can start off with Chicago, and we'll just we'll hop back and forth a little bit if necessary, but we'll try to start with Chicago and then try to go to Detroit. But it may, for people who are listening, it may combine, and we just may talk about similarities and differences between the cities. We don't know how this is going to go. It's just a conversation, but stick with us. So start off with Chicago, because you just wrote an article about the population decline of Chi-Town.
Right. Chicago. Like I said, I'm born and raised in Chicago. Currently living in Chicago. Me myself, I do like Chicago, but I would like to move. I mean, I just have to throw that out there. But I would like to move
away from Chicago. Let's be specific. Out of the state.
Yes.
Or okay.
Yeah, I would leave completely out of the state.
Out of the region?
I would prefer
a Midwest. Out of the region of the Midwest?
Yes. Okay. I would prefer to either live in Atlanta, which went to school down there, or North Carolina, Greensboro, somewhere in North Carolina. But those are just my options, and not just because anything necessarily in Chicago. I would just prefer to live in those cities. I like the environment in those cities.
Okay.
And I love the warm climates. The warm climate, and plus it will help with my
this is everything outside of weather. Remember, this is everything outside of the weather.
Well, okay. Well, I'm just saying I would go there due to health reasons. Well, they're still talking about weather, though.
You're a little bit.
Weather.
Well, yeah. Explain your situation real quick, because that.
I mean, I know for people with psoriatic psoriasis. I mean, psoriatic arthritis. I apologize about that. Psoriatic arthritis. Warm weather helps with the skin condition. When I lived in Atlanta, I wasn't taking any medication. I was just taking vitamins and working out and eating better. But the weather played a certain role in that. I mean, in Chicago, you have the rough winters with the cold and the snow. Atlanta, I mean, you do have a winter, but usually it's 30s and well, not even 30s, usually 40s or so. And when the summertime and spring, it's very sunny, and that affects with the psoriasis. I mean, the skin is good for the body, and it's good for psoriasis. Not saying it's going to cure me completely, but it helps,
Yeah, it
and
helps.
then
Yeah.
particularly with my arthritis as well too. But that's beside me.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on to Chicago. Chicago, for the past 3 years in a row, has lost the most residents out of all of the U.S. major cities. And particularly in the black community, from 2011 to 2001 to 2010, over 181,000 black residents have left the city. A lot of the residents who are leaving are going to warmer states, particularly Texas, Houston being one of the cities in Texas. A lot of people are moving to, and Florida. See a lot of people moving to Florida. They're going to the sunny state, the Sun Belt states, so to say. But the thing is, people are saying they're leaving Chicago. So here's some of the reasons: you have crime, you have high taxes, you have the instability of the state budget, and you have the fact that people just want to change in particular. So me and Jaymie were talking about the fact that, okay, you have people saying, I'm leaving because of crime. You look at Los Angeles or California. Los Angeles has one of the biggest Hispanic gangs in the world. But the fact of it is, you don't have people leaving L.A. as much as they're leaving Chicago. And I brought up to Jaymie, LOL, L.A. is not as dark, so to say, as Chicago, meaning that, and particularly, you have the sun almost on a daily basis. Chicago is more darker, so they may not be leaving L.A. However, when it comes to taxes and houses, it's way more expensive than Chicago, but they're staying in L.A. So we can't just fully say crime is the whole reason people are leaving Chicago.
Yeah, I don't.
We don't know.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, we talked about this. I don't think crime is the only factor, right?
Correct.
For because it's and again, like when I compare it to the city of Detroit, like one of the Detroit is it's not the safest city in the world. All right, no city in America is the safest city in the world. I don't think.
No.
Yeah, I don't think no major American city, right?
Unless you live in the suburbs somewhere, it may
Yeah,
be good.
but no major city is the safest city in the world, right? There's some type of violence. There's going to be gang activity in any city, even Atlanta, right?
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta, the spot that we stayed in, the West End, like that wasn't the safest city in the world, like
Not at all. Not at all.
Jesus. So I mean, so when we're talking about like gang violence,
Real quick,
yeah,
you remember the story? I'm sorry to go off topic, but you remember the story they used to tell us all the time? Like, make sure you come back to campus, don't walk around the West End, or you'll
yeah,
come back. So one of the guys got his clothes taken when he got
yeah.
robbed.
You always
He
heard
came back
stories
to
about people
campus
getting
butt
robbed.
naked.
I mean, yeah, I remember that story. I don't know if that story is true.
Oh yeah, exactly. I don't know if it's true,
I don't
but it
know if
was
it's
just
true.
like
That's funny,
the big
but
myth.
yeah, I remember that. But no. The point is like, look, man, like that ain't really. Those are some not the safest places in the world. Like these, but the fact is, people aren't living in those spots in Atlanta, right? They're living in the
Right.
safer areas, right? They're areas with a lot of activity, right? A lot of social activity, business activity, etc. That downtown space, and that's the same thing with the Chicago's, with the LA's. Detroit's never. We're starting to build up our downtown, which a couple of years ago it wasn't built, and when I'm comparing Detroit and Chicago, that's what the problem was, right? It was the business
Mm-hmm.
aspect, right? The social aspect. As much violence as was going on, in the city of Detroit, it's decreased a little bit, but it's still the places where it was violent. It's still violent today, but yet Detroit, isn't seen as violent of a city, right? Well, what's changed? Well, the reason is because there's more opportunities in downtown Detroit from a business perspective, right? And
Okay.
I think that's the issue with Chicago is that, like you said, because of politics, right? Because there's this budget
Yeah.
issue now. If there wasn't a budget issue, and if Chicago was seeing, let's say you guys just got a new, major corporation that just came to downtown Detroit, to downtown Chicago, well, then the violent narrative wouldn't really be a narrative. Again, like, obviously that has to be cleaned up and it's an issue that needs to be, checked and whatnot. But
Correct.
when we're talking about these population increases and decreases, that's a part of it, but that's not the reason, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And there's been more than one contributing factor to why you're leaving.
Yeah, because I mean, New York is dangerous. I know people got robbed in New York. I know people got robbed in almost every city, basically.
But
maybe not
right
the West
now,
Coast,
you have
because I
that
don't
stigmatism.
know anybody in the West Coast.
But Chicago has that stigmatism now, as far as like, okay, this is gangland. Like, I mean, all the killings, in particular, on the south side of Chicago, all these killings is kind of like people can fear that, and they may not even go about having the killings done on their particular block. But the fact of it is, when I go out, I hear about the killings. Okay, I want to leave. Like, you have people that think like that.
I mean, true, but that's the media narrative, right? That's what
Yeah.
that's what did Detroit in, right?
But that media narrative, people who actually live in the city start to believe that.
Oh, I've seen it firsthand.
That's the killer part about it.
I've seen it firsthand.
That's the killer part.
Yeah, I definitely see it firsthand. And then you get these lists where it's like, what's the most dangerous city in America? And it's the same 10 cities, right? Memphis, Baltimore, Chicago, Detroit.
And those are the
same
you have Chicago and Baltimore, and actually Milwaukee. Those are the three biggest major cities in the U.S. who have high, a real big decline of residents, of population. According to reports, Chicago was 1, Baltimore was 2, Milwaukee was 4. Milwaukee was 3, and I believe Detroit was 4th.
Yeah. So, and again, I do think that it is an issue, obviously, but I do think that there's other issues that people just kind of ignore and don't talk about when we're talking about these cities. And the major purpose here is, and this also adds to the decline, is like businesses, whenever, especially nowadays, when you hear about organizations moving to new cities, it's a North Carolina, it's a Houston, it's in Atlanta, it's in Miami, it's maybe LA, New York. Even though New York not really as much as it was in the past. Seattle. They're moving to these other. That's where these big businesses are moving to now, and I think that.
And it's because of taxes. I mean, they're moving there because taxes are cheaper, and
I don't know about.
They have a better opportunity. I mean,
Washington doesn't have like the greatest tax.
Well, I'm talking about like North Carolina, and so. Like when they go into the southern states,
right?
Smaller states.
Yeah, right. North Carolina, yep, they're really business friendly. Yep, you're absolutely right about that. They absolutely are. And that could definitely be a part of it. California again kind of throws everything off because they've got one of the highest tax bracket or tax rates in America, and they're doing just fine. So.
Yeah, you're right about that.
So,
then again, go ahead.
Is it even that? That's all I said.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
I just think.
And I wonder what's going to cause it to increase.
I honestly,
what will spark that people to start coming back to the city of Chicago or Detroit?
In my opinion, it's all about that media narrative and trying to control it. Right. We just had we were just talking about Trump, right? The media says Trump is bad, so people believe Trump is bad.
Yeah.
Does that mean that he's actually bad? I mean, has he been doing some questionable stuff? Absolutely. But does that mean that he hasn't done anything positive for anybody? No. I mean, he's done some things that are good for America, and we talked about on this podcast a little earlier. But if the media is saying these are the dangerous cities, these are the cities you shouldn't be moving to, people are going to take that and they're going to run with it and they're going to leave. It's funny how a really good example of this was when I was in tech inclusion, and there was this person. I'm not going to get too specific here.
Too personal.
No, not personal, but too specific. But there was a person who, we were talking about different opportunities. This person kept saying, well, there's no opportunity in the city of Detroit. And people were like, well, yeah, there's A, B, and C. And then this person was like, well, there's no opportunity in this part. And people were like, well, yeah, there is. There's stuff for that part too. And then the person kept like bringing up stuff, and people were like, well, no, there are opportunities with what you're talking about. But you may not know because you haven't done your research. You're just listening to the whole, there's no opportunity here, but and everything that you're looking for, and it's very easy to find. You can find opportunities in those stuff, and I think that's the problem, right? People just assume based off of what they see that there's no opportunity when what they hear, when in fact, I mean, the truth is very different.
Yeah, I agree with you. I definitely agree with that. Because, like, for instance, Jaymie, you ever listen to what's the name of the show? The Breakfast Club.
Yeah, of course.
The guy by the name of Charlemagne and God.
Yeah, that's the name.
Okay, Charlemagne is always talking about the fact that you can't. Well, I will have to wear a bulletproof vest if I come to Chicago.
Yeah, see.
Wouldn't you think that's a little bit?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree.
Way over the top. Because I mean, you've been to Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Haven't you seen the Chicago? I mean, there's not a killing going on everywhere you go, right? I mean, you didn't get shot at, right?
I mean, there's a lot of people who go to Chicago and don't get shot.
But the thing is, like I'm just giving an example because, like you said, you take all of it, what you hear, but causes that negative, and that's what hurts the city. The most.
Yeah, that media perception.
That's what hurts it a lot. That perception.
Yeah, if we all decided that Houston was a dangerous city, we could make Houston a dangerous city in terms of the media.
Yeah, definitely. With the quickness. Let's say this. Give it a week or so.
Yeah.
Give it a week. We can, okay, this guy got killed, this guy got killed, this guy got killed. There's a mass killing over here, there's a mass killing over there. There's a robbery there, a robbery here. All right, cool. Houston is like one of the roughest cities in the world.
Yeah.
We got it. We good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we may forget about the fact that all this in Memphis has been under the radar for years, and all this goes on in Memphis damn near every day and every year.
Yeah.
But they don't talk about it.
Yeah. If you want to,
you don't talk about it at all.
Exactly. Even though it's routinely on one of the list for most dangerous, quote unquote, whatever list. Look, this is, and this is, it is what it is. When you're given that narrative, that helps with the decrease. And I'm pretty sure if I don't know who does these lists, but there are, especially when it comes to like for example, like a Cleveland that's starting to build up their small businesses. Why aren't they getting the same promotion, or even a Detroit that's doing the same thing? Why aren't we getting the same promotion as like a Austin, Texas? Or what's another? You can't really use that city, but I was gonna say Miami, but Miami's Miami. But yeah, but and don't get me wrong, I get it. Austin's been the small business darling for a while now. But
for years.
Oh yeah, but when are we? It's about that time where there should be a couple of new cities that you should be talking about, right?
I mean, yeah, you're right.
Like it's
I mean, you're all right about that.
there are other cities doing stuff. We're in a new presidency. You know, we're out of the recession, even though people may not feel that way. We are, and we're long enough out
Well,
of
you
it
have
to where
Oakland.
yeah, exactly. Oakland's another one. Like
But, I mean, they're getting that somewhat of a shine now.
yeah, they are.
When you say,
Especially
because you
Google.
have Google
Yeah.
going there, Google doing all these initiatives. A lot of the Silicon Valley companies are putting operations in Oakland. I mean,
I think you gotta give them like another year to see that come to fruition. Because if I'm not mistaken, that just happened like last year.
yeah, it
So
just
you
happened
gotta give
in
them like 2
recent years.
years,
Yeah.
like 2-3 years. But yeah, Oakland's another one. Like just
But like you said, though, Detroit is on the come up
yeah, it
with the
absolutely is.
sports arenas coming downtown. Like you talk about the downtown area all the time, how it's totally different from when you were younger.
Absolutely, man. It is completely different, man, and it's really nice to see. And I mentioned this before the podcast, so I'll talk about it here. But Detroit's also they're putting in when it comes to their different programs. What they're doing now is they're mandating that in order to like get get this money and funding, you actually have to live in the city of Detroit.
That's good.
There's also a pretty interesting program where they're matching like people who were born and raised in Detroit with like outsiders that have moved into the city to kind of build like that community a little bit more because there is a Detroit is funny enough. When I was at Tech Inclusion, I was talking to this lady from Australia, and she was like, Detroit's very unique because you guys are really like it's Detroit versus everybody in a sense, which I didn't realize it was to that degree. But when somebody from outside your country tells you that, it's like, yeah, I guess it kind of is.
That's really true.
Because what's and honestly, I'm gonna be honest. On the podcast, real quick, I don't trust people who aren't from Detroit when you give them power.
You don't?
No, not at all. Because
we have something in common there, right?
yeah, because in the city of Detroit, like we've just seen it so much. We're outside, like this always happens where the city of Detroit will say, hey, we need something to help increase our population, increase our economy, whatever. And then they'll always bring somebody outside of Detroit, from outside of Detroit to help. And then they'll come in, they'll get paid. Nothing changes. In fact, we get worse usually, and then they'll leave.
Wow.
And then that's.
I thought you were gonna say like a corruption scandal or something like that.
No, it doesn't have to be a corruption scandal. Maybe sometimes it is. Most times it's not. Most times it's just they come in, get paid, nothing happens, or we get worse, and they leave, and then it's like we're stuck, but we're crap, like but our city's the one that did something wrong. Like you think it's just been Detroit people coming up with plans for Detroit? Like it's been a mix. Like we've tried everything. We've literally tried everything, and nothing's worked.
Nothing works.
Yeah, or we'll just get taken advantage of, right?
So that's even worse.
Yeah. So it definitely is that. That's why that mindset just got to that. Detroit versus everybody. Everybody's against us, right? And it is that mindset in the city where it's just like everybody. Because and again, I won't get into it in terms of like the suburbs versus Detroit, but we've had a lot of those issues as well, where people want to benefit from the name of Detroit, but they don't actually want to support the city. I mean, that's been going on for 40, 50 years. But again, I will say that that's changed. Okay, well. It appears that it's changing. Yeah, it appears that it's changing, especially with these programs again. That was never the case back 10, 20 years ago, where it's like if you had a program in Detroit, you could come from the suburb, get into the program and then go back home, and then you'd benefit, and then never have anything to do with Detroit afterwards. The programs, initiatives now, you do have to stay in the city. You do. So things are changing. and that's why they're getting better. But the one thing, before you say something, but the one thing that we've constantly talked about, Ray, is how Chicago is 2-3 years behind Detroit. I've always said that in terms of
Always.
in terms of
Education,
yep.
education system,
Told you what was gonna happen with
politics.
that. Yep. Yeah, everything. Like you guys are just the bigger version of Detroit. You're just 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 years behind us. And everything you're experiencing right now, we've experienced before. And everything that I said was gonna happen has happened, which is crazy.
I don't think that Chicago will go bankrupt though. I don't think it will get that far. It may happen, but I just don't think it will get that far.
I don't know. I hope not, man.
I don't either. I mean, they just took out a loan
I'm gonna tell you right now,
to
man.
pay, basically for to keep the public schools open until the end of the school year, and to pay the pension, and just have money in the budget to just pay for everything for the end of the school year, because the state budget still hasn't passed. I mean, Bronner wants to do one thing.
That's crazy.
Chicago Mayor Emanuel wants to do another thing. So it's like, who's willing to give? And you have like Cancer Rapper, you had him giving, but he can't give everything. He can't give
he can't support
$1 billion.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like, I don't know, but I don't think it will go bankrupt. But I'm not.
I'll tell you this.
Not that well knowledgeable about the situation, but who knows?
Yeah, I'll say this, man. Like, trust me. Like, when a bankrupt's coming, you know it. So, as a person who was here when the bankruptcy happened, like it'll be as clear as day. Where it's really the only option left. So the fact that you're not sure means that it's not even on the table yet. But
here's the thing, though, Jaymie. The money that the city gets from speed light cameras and speed light cameras and going past the red light, the automatic camera system now. I don't understand, why is that money not being used to fund the public school, or the money that you get from the tollways? Why isn't that money being used to fund not only Chicago public schools, but Bloomington public schools, Springfield, any other city in Illinois? Why is that money not being used, and why is it still a stalemate with the budget? Like, we have to get over that. I mean, personal issues set aside. I mean, somebody has to give.
Yeah, there's just a huge division in politics right now, and it's everywhere.
I don't make it.
I mean,
yeah,
because both sides think that they're right, and neither side is willing to budge. I mean, and that's everywhere, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So it is what it is. It's tough. Hopefully you guys can get through it. But I will say this, before, as we're wrapping this up, I will say this, man. I wouldn't wish bankruptcy on anybody, because that is the worst thing for a city to go through. It's not fun. Nobody wins. Everybody gets screwed. The city, and if you're a person who lives in like Springfield or whatever, Bloomington, and you're like, that's Chicago. No. It happened in Detroit. Everybody gets hit. Everybody. I'm talking everybody. I'm talking cities that are an hour outside of the city. Everybody gets hit. Because when businesses or what have you, or people are looking to move to a city that's 20, 30, 40 minutes outside of Detroit, they're going to be like, that's too close. And they're not going to do it. They're not going to move their business there. They're not going to move themselves there, their family, whatever. They're not going to accept their job there, or whatever. Like, that's going to hit everybody. Right. And that's something that you don't want to have happen. So, and it's, again, look, everybody has to come together. And it's not just Chicago, but all your suburban cities as well. Like, because that is, Ford is still, yeah. Think about this, right? A couple of years after Detroit went bankrupt, GM, Ford, and Chrysler were making record profits.
Wow!
And their stocks were still getting hit.
Wow!
Think about that. Bankruptcy affects everybody. You don't want it to happen to your city. because everybody gets hit negatively. So
it takes a while to overcome.
yeah, it absolutely does.
Y'all are just coming on. Y'all just starting to
just
fix up
starting
things
to
now.
yeah. So, but yep. So that's the podcast for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, like, subscribe, tell us what you think, leave a comment, and follow us on YouTube, SoundCloud. We got iTunes. Follow us there. Twitter, Medium.
Yep.
Yeah.
Almost everywhere.
Yep, and leave us, the world, and always, and leave us a note. So, thank you for listening, and have a great day.
Have a good one.